The complexity of U.S.-Russia relations was on display today when the chairman of the Joint Chiefs met with his Russian counterpart to discuss the fight against ISIS. Elaine, that Russian general is widely considered to be the mastermind of those election-related cyber attacks.
Well, Jeff, going back to Secretary Mattis, when we saw in your piece there, he also made other news about Russia, this time about U.S. military ties. What did he say, and how does that line up with what we heard from the president during his news conference?
Well, he said that there was very little doubt of Russian interference in our democracy and other democracies. That's what he said, and it's sort of a departure from what President Trump has said over the last several months. You'll recall that he has been sort of reluctant to agree with the assessment of the intelligence community here in the U.S. that those Russian cyber attacks were intended to meddle in the U.S. election. Throughout the campaign, President Trump seemed to deny that this was indeed Russian activity, but there was this unified front on the part of the intelligence community that this is Russian activity, and we've seen it in other countries across the globe, frankly, especially in Ukraine. And that's why the intelligence sources that I've spoken with over the last several months have had no doubt that this was part of the Russian playbook to meddle in elections through hacking units, attacking and targeting certain computer networks, and then disseminating damaging information. It's part of the Russian playbook, according to many of the sources that we've talked to over the last several months.
Well, Jeff, you also reported that the FBI is looking into some of Mr. Trump's former associates and their connections with the Russian government during the election. What else can you tell us about the status of that investigation?
Well, it continues, and frankly, in a lot of ways, it looks like it is intensifying. You had several reporters there during that press conference pressing the president on whether he knew of contacts between some of his campaign officials and Russian officials or operatives. And so those questions are intensifying because there is a growing field of evidence, according to our reporting and other reporting that you've seen from other outlets, pointing to the fact that intelligence and law enforcement officials believe and are investigating whether there were these ties between the Trump campaign and Russian officials, and there was some coordination there in terms of carrying out these cyber attacks with the ultimate goal of damaging Hillary Clinton's candidacy and, frankly, other Democratic officials and candidacies in some of the congressional races as well. And so this is an investigation that is growing. You saw that we spoke with Carter Page, one person whose name has continued to surface. He has denied this. Paul Manafort has denied this, but investigators are still digging into it.
All right, Jeff Pegues in Washington for us. Jeff, thanks.